Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I am the food enthusiast here at J Moore Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live, drop your questions or comments into the comment section on screen for anything that you might want to ask myself or my guests. This week's guest, and I'm saying plural, are Matthew Scales, Seafood Marketing Director, and Audrey Broomfield, Agricultural Marketing Specialist, both with the Maryland Department of Agriculture. We got a lot to cover, so let's bring them both in. There
Hi,
we go. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. So, other than doing the show today, what's on your plate to do?
Well, I'm headed to Baltimore today for the music concert series at the Cannon Waterfront Park. So if you're in the area, we will have Watermelon Queens there, both the National and Maryland Watermelon Queen, and we'll be serving up some fresh Mardelicious watermelon.
There's a watermelon queen.
There's a state, we have most of our southern states, and then a national queen as well. So they all compete annually.
Am I too old?
So it is a scholarship program. So I guess that depends.
Well, what can I say? All right. Can I call you Matt? Do people call you Matt or Matthew?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Absolutely.
All right, Matt. So what's on your plate today other than doing the show?
Yeah, I don't get to be glamorous as Audrey, hanging out with watermelon queens and slinging delicious Maryland watermelon. I'm actually just at home today. Again, making arrangements. Next week's going to be a busy week. Just selling more Maryland seafood.
Well, just to tell people how I met you, I was in Ocean City, Maryland for the Ocean City Restaurant Show.
Yep.
And in fact, you were in the booth with a young man who just, I think, was only maybe a year and a half that he started an oyster business.
Yep. Dan Worrell, Fallen Pine Oyster Company. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. You do a lot of shows. Let's see. I saw that you go out to like Boston for the seafood show.
That's correct. Yep. The North American Seafood Expo every year in March in Boston. And it's a great show. Everyone comes over, not just domestically, but internationally. And it's great to see what others have in store. And we have a huge booth. We've been there for years. We have about 5 vendors that are in our booth. And, anywhere from blue catfish processors, aquaculture, oyster farmers, value added. Last year we had Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and they have a packaging now for their sauce as well. So it's just a great show, great food, samplings as well. We sample blue catfish each day. We hire chefs that will go up there and dish out some great blue catfish, but it's a phenomenal show. And so is the OC Hotel Motel Trade Expo that you mentioned too. And that's in March down in Ocean City. And we have Maryland's best area where we have a lot of our producers that are in with us, like Fallen Pine Oysters, and some other producers on Audrey's side. And then there's like 3 rooms, and then there are chef demos. There was Dan Worrell, who I mentioned, Fallen Pine. He was doing a shucking demo last year. Then there's the Restaurant Association of Maryland. They have a golden ticket competition. And this year's product for one of them was blue catfish. So all the chefs for all over competed for blue catfish, and it was great to interact with some of the chefs and seeing the different creations that they were creating.
Well, I'm going to come back to the blue catfish, but I don't want Audrey to feel that I'm ignoring her. You did the International Fresh Produce Association Global Produce Show and Floral Show, where that's coming up. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it's coming up. It's in October this year. So we usually attend every other year. We don't usually attend when it's in California. The travel costs are just too high for us. But It's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia this year. So we will be there with some Maryland, representing our Maryland producers in the agricultural sector and floral sector. And we'll be hoping to bring some partners with us and just really connect with wholesale buyers to make those connections for our producers.
Great. All right. I'm back to Dan. Let's talk catfish. You brought it up.
Well, catfish got my tongue. Yes. Yeah, blue catfish. If you haven't heard of it, which I'll be honest, before I started, I'm fairly new to my role as the seafood director. I started in October, so I'm not even a year in yet. But I never heard of blue catfish, and I am born and raised Marylander. I live in Harford County, and I came in, and Secretary of Department of Agriculture Kevin Addix did a video with Governor Moore about making blue catfish tacos, and Secretary Addix stating we have to eat our way out of this problem. And that was my first kind of introduction to blue catfish. So really trying to drum up some more promotions, marketing, and PR around blue catfish. It is an invasive species. Produce has an invasive species too that I can let Audrey talk about too, about the wineberries. But blue catfish, they're eating our crabs, they're eating our oysters, everything we love in the Chesapeake Bay, they're eating. And, we're already having a problem with some of those numbers. So we want to do our part, both from the restaurants and retail, getting them into more stores, getting folks to buying them in your local grocery stores, and cooking them at home on our website, marylandsbest.net. We have a list of restaurants and retailers that folks can find blue catfish. And if you're cooking it at home, not to worry, because I know that's something, I think as Americans, we're a little bit reluctant to cooking more seafood at home, just because we trust a chef when we go out, but at home, we're like, are we preparing it right? Even me, I consider myself an amateur chef, but I've cooked some blue catfish at home, and it sticks to the pan, and then, you got part of the fish, and then it's falling all over. But we have recipes on our website, so it can help you walk through that. And we want to provide more comfortability cooking some of the seafood at home, like blue catfish.
There is, just to let people know that there is a cookbook online that you can look at with multiple recipes. What's invasive, Audrey? I know lanternflies. What else is invasive to our produce and our animals?
We do have, I'm not an expert on invasives, and I don't think push it as much for our produce side of agricultural marketing. But we do have, you mentioned spotted lanternfly, which has been a little destructive to our grape crops. And we have a team here at MDA who they live, breathe, and sleep and eat spotted lanternfly, and they live to squash them. And then we do have, as Matt mentioned, the wineberry. If you do have it around, that one's usually carried by birds. And so if you want to stop the spread with that one, the best way to do it is to pick it and eat it yourself. If that's your jam, I hear that wineberry jam is pretty delicious.
And there are some great restaurants and chefs that are doing some amazing things with that. I was just at Forged in Baltimore a couple weeks ago, and Chef Chris out there, he had a great salad, all using local ingredients, hence the name Forged. And wineberries is one of the ingredients as well. And I got to taste it, and it was actually really good. I love, I'm a berry guy, and it was, and it's right here in Maryland. So, maybe I encourage any chefs that are watching, create a blue catfish wineberry dish. You have two invasive species from the produce and seafood side.
Right. And the restaurateurs can partner with you on the fish, Maryland crab, True Blue. Is it True Blue?
Yeah, our True Blue program. So that is highlighting restaurants that are serving local Maryland crab meat. So the big challenge right now is a lot of this crab meat is coming from Indonesia and Venezuela. It's a lot of foreign crab meat, and it's cheaper. It's half the cost of Maryland crab meat. And so restaurants, everything is going up. And when you're looking at the bottom line and your margins, they're going to import a crab meat from Venezuela and Indonesia because it's the half the cost. So True Blue program is an effort, and I encourage any restaurants or chefs that wants to take part, please reach out to me. Please reach out via the website, marylandsbest.net. There's a link on there about our True Blue program where you can sign up. It's an application where you show that you're purchasing crab meat from one of the crab meat processors. Then there's a decal that we provide you along with some other swag to showcase you're a True Blue member. You'll be listed as part of our restaurants. We do stuff highlighting our True Blue partners via social media and our website as well.
I want to tell the consumers who are watching that going to Maryland's or mdsbest.net, if you go there, you can find the restaurateurs who are using the True Blue, the Maryland crab meat. You can also find stores that are making the catfish available. What is it? Wegmans and
Wegmans, Whole Foods, Giant,
Grouse.
Bednar's,
Was it Grouse?
Yep. Yeah, there's a number of them.
Right. So you can get your hands on that, and it's supposed to be absolutely delicious. So don't miss that. One of the things we were talking about or looking to talk about, or the central goal of the Maryland Department of Agriculture is what is local? You're trying to support local. What are the benefits of eating local? Audrey?
So the benefits of eating local, I'm glad you asked. You're keeping that, it's almost like supporting a small business because most of your farmers are a small business and they're your agricultural, aquacultural producers. So when you do that, you're keeping that money within your community, you're supporting local jobs, you're you're actually benefiting the environment because your food isn't having to travel as far. And you're making sure that like your local farmers, your local community members, they're always going to grow and try and make sure that everything that they're doing is for the best product for you, the consumer, their neighbors. And so by supporting local, you're really making sure that you get the best quality product out there.
Right. And you're getting it at peak flavor.
Yes, because it gets that time to ripen on the vine or it's fresh caught out of the water.
Right.
And you're also, I would just add to that, reducing emissions. So you think about, trucks that are hauling. If you go in your grocery store, and I never did this before I started working in the Department of Agriculture, when I go in my local grocery store, I'm actually looking now where my produce is coming from and where certain seafood is coming from and meats. Because if it's coming from California, think about the long haul that truck has to take with those strawberries and berries and seafood. It's losing some of its nutrients and freshness, and you're putting more emissions into the air, which already we're having issues with global warming and everything else like that. So really supporting local has a number of different benefits, as Audrey pointed out, and that's why this summer we launched our Eat Like a Marylander campaign, where if you go on our website, marylandsbest.net, you can click on there. There's a video there. Our video too is in some movie theaters. So those who are going to see movies might see some familiar faces in that commercial. But you're really sourcing local, and we're really identifying those restaurants and retailers, the farms, the farmers markets, some of the experiences, the pick your owns that you can do and with your family and friends this summer.
Right. And I know Boggers, and I think you had a clip from Boggers Farm and the orchard. But if we go to the site and you take a look at it, the tools are there, and nothing better than taking the family and the kids out to go pick their own strawberries or go pick their own peaches or whatever it is. And it's a nice family event, and it's a lasting memory. And you said Eat Like a Marylander. This is a program I think started around 20 years ago, and it's about local food. And I think we just came off of a big promotion by Local Week, July 18th to the 28th. Let's talk crabs, because anybody visiting Baltimore, they want that crab cake, they want steamed crabs. This is what they're here for. How has the crab season been? We have soft shells that are out right now. What are we seeing? Are things up in the bay, or is it a good season with crabs?
Yeah, DNR reported their crab season stats, and so crab season looks great. Hearing from a couple crabbers, the season's going great. People, of course, as there always a huge demand for steamed crabs and Maryland crabs. Maryland's crabs is unlike any other crab that you'll find, even at our southern states below us. You got to think about during this winter season, they head to the south of the bay and they really store up that fat. And then during the summer season, so crab season opens April 1st. And so as it gets warmer, the crabs will start migrating up the Chesapeake Bay. And so since they stored up all that fat and that delicious buttery flavor throughout the winter, then we catch them up here in Maryland, and that allows us to have the unique Maryland crabs that we all know and love. So yeah, crab season's great. Soft shell crabs too is great too. That goes until about September or October. Right now, you're probably going to find more soft shell crabs, especially those who are restaurants who are looking for it. But there are a lot of unique ways that you can use medium soft shell crabs, such as in sushi, as part of a taco, making a soft shell crab taco, because they're smaller, so you probably can use it as a soft shell crab sandwich. But a lot of creative ways that we try to help restaurants and chefs with the smaller products.
Very quickly, to people who don't understand what soft shell crabs are, could you give a quick explanation? And then I have a question for Audrey.
Yeah, soft shell crabs are basically crabs that kind of go out of their shell based on the warmer weather. And so, you think hard shell crabs, you got to crack it open, but these actually, they get out of their hard shell. And so then they're soft. And so then, people know about soft shell crab sandwiches. So people will broil it in batter, deep fry it, and then put it on a sandwich with lettuce and tomato. And it's delicious.
Right. They get out of their hard shell because they've outgrown it.
Correct.
Is it sloughing?
Yeah.
Is it sloughing?
Sloughing. Yep.
Sloughing.
And, there's slough houses that I've been to too. I could spend all day at a slough house just watching crabs de-shell. It's really remarkable.
Right. All right, Audrey. Let's talk about dairy. What is this ice cream trail that I see on Maryland's Best website? Tell us about the ice cream trail.
So the ice cream trail was actually created before my time, so I can't take that much credit for the genius idea, but it was created as a way to stimulate our state's dairy farms economies and create more dollars there, but also to get the families out on farms, because most children now, they're saying, are kind of don't know where the food is coming from, and they just think it all comes from the grocery store. So trying to connect a family with a farm in a fun way, because who doesn't like eating ice cream? And then a majority, or at least 50% of our ice cream trail participants are actually working dairy farms. And so when you go there to try that ice cream, you can also those times take a tour, see a little bit of how milk happens, and see a little bit about how ice cream or cheese is made, and kind of interact with those farmers, see the farms, and it's a great experience. They also have fun photo ops and that kind of stuff. So I think we are up to 11 stops this year. And all of those are using Maryland milk in their products. And so we also highlight on the back now, new this year, we're highlighting all dairy, retail dairy opportunities. So farms producing cheese, milk, yogurt, and ice cream.
Right. Well, if we didn't have the dairy cows, if we didn't have them, if we didn't have cows, there would be no cheeseburger. There'd be no meat. There'd be no cheese. So I think we sort of shortchanged the cows. I think they're a little brighter mentally than what we think. I just remember being at a farm and the big brown eyes.
They're very bright. I was going to say some of the farms, I think Rock Hill Orchard is one, has an electric or a robotic milker. And so the cows are all programmed on when it's feeding time, and they just make their way into the line, and then they get their little ID tag scanned, and the machine knows exactly like how to milk it. And it's a pretty cool process and cool to see the technology.
I talked about the cookbooks, and don't you do a recipe contest? Do I remember reading that?
Yes. So our coworker Kristen kind of spearheads that campaign. It's part of the governor's Buy Local Cookout. We solicit recipes from local restaurateurs and chefs that are using and highlighting Maryland ingredients. And then we'll take all those submissions. We have a small committee of members that will go through and evaluate them and try and find like the best recipes. And then we take all of those and they're cooked for the governor at the cookout. But then we also release the cookbooks so that everybody else can get a chance to try these delicious Maryland recipes.
And this year it was Chef Matt at Leo Annapolis that won the governor's competition with his, I believe it was a Chesapeake mac and cheese. Is that correct, Audrey?
Yes, it was amazing.
It was so good.
I think I saw a gluten-free watermelon cookie.
Oh yeah, that actually was very good, very innovative. It's always fun I consider myself very fortunate to have been able to attend 3 of these because it's a perk of working for the Department of Agriculture because I always see such innovative and different ways to use ingredients because these chefs really go all out. But honestly, as a person who was helping go through some of the recipes, your average person could probably make 90% of them, I would say.
I was just going to say another interesting recipe too that popped out to me aside from the watermelon cookie, which was delicious, was a crab Pop-Tart. So Chef Brian Voltaggio created this crab Pop-Tart. Just think your normal pastry Pop-Tart, but he put some crab meat and some microgreens in there. I did not get any because, of course, I was working. And by the time I went there, they were gone. But I heard they were delicious. And so I think he's maybe talk with him. He might be putting it on his menu for his new restaurant that's opening in September in Frederick. So
right.
I did have
one. Yeah. I want to tell everybody, because I love oysters, August 5th is National Oyster Day.
National Oyster Week, actually. Not just one day. You get the whole week.
The whole week. What, does that start on Sunday?
It starts on Monday, August 5th.
Monday. Okay.
Yes.
So everybody, I would sit there and say, go to your local places for your local oysters because they're going to have specials and take advantage of that. I know I did a tasting of oysters throughout the Chesapeake Bay a ways back, and it's amazing how this little area here on the Chesapeake Bay tasted different from the other one. One was sweeter, one had more salinity to it. And I think many of the places that serve raw oysters are involved with the shell recovery program, where they're putting the shells back into the bay. And for those of you who don't know it, that oysters actually help clean the bay. They filter the bay water. So the more oysters we have in the bay, the better for the bay. I think there's been some recovery on the grasses now at the bay. They had fallen off and they're coming back. Did I read correctly?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
and just to elaborate, National Oyster Week, we're partnering with Oyster Recovery Partnership, which does collect those shells and partners with restaurants. So if you go visit our website at marylandsbest.net or Oyster Recovery Partnership, you can see the list of restaurants that are serving specials from True Chesapeake to Jimmy's Famous Seafood. There's some events with Lib's Grill. I believe they're doing an event in Perry Hall location. So if you love oysters, this is the holiday for you. And certainly you're doing a good cause too, because you're eating oysters and then you're recycling the shells that are being planted back in the bay, as you said, to help filter. And like you said, the more oysters we have, the better. That's why we also have to eat more blue catfish, because they're eating our oysters. So it's all intertwined.
Right. There's actually a question which I can answer. The question is the recipe for the mac and cheese available online? Yes. Go to mdsbest.net and look for the cookbook. And
It's spelled out marylandsbest.net.
Okay, marylandsbest.net. Why did I have that? I'm sorry. Too many social medias. It'll come up. It's all coming up in the comments. So Jeffrey, you can just click on there and dig through and you will find the recipe book that you can look at. And that recipe is there. Tomatoes. Some say Jersey tomatoes are better. Some say Maryland tomatoes are better.
I mean, I don't want to get in a fight with Jersey, but I will say our tomatoes are amazing. And I would really encourage everyone, because as Matt has mentioned, or as you guys were talking about, there's many different flavors of oysters. I would strongly encourage you to go to a farmer's market and check out the crazy different heirloom varieties that a lot of your local farmers are going to have. They're able, because some of them specialize in like 20. I've tried, one guy had 20, 30 different varieties of tomato one time, and every one of them tasted different. I had one that was sweet like a piece of fruit. One had a fuzzy skin like a peach. So you can find all different types and colors, and they really will do a lot, because we all eat with our eyes. So they can do a lot to kind of spice up your salads and really, or your tacos. And you can get tomatoes that are every color of the sun, the rainbow. My coworker just put something out on social media that we shared from a farmer's market, and it's really beautiful.
I want to remind people that August 4th to August 10th is National Farmers Market Week.
Yes.
So go out, support your farmers market.
Yep.
Helping everyone here and the economy by supporting local. Let's see. I'm going down. I think I have this. I have a couple questions I ask at the end of the show. And Matt, you say you like to cook. What about you, Audrey? Are you a cook or are you a designated eater?
Oh, no. I actually will tell everyone this. I was like kind of a recreational cook. I might not be as fancy as Matt sometimes, but during COVID, I actually subscribed to the New York Times cooking app, and it is great. It pushes me to try things I never would have tried before. Like I think I tried a fried egg on top of lettuce and rice, and it was actually surprisingly good. But we try different things every week, and I really do feel like, especially now having my own little family, it is great for making the budget work and shopping at the farmer's market, because I'll make my list. I'll first hit the farmer's market, get as much local stuff as I can, and then hit that traditional grocery store when I have the time, and do the whole shopping and try and maximize my budget.
Sounds great. Look, New York Times, that's challenging.
It's actually not. My husband says it's easier to follow those recipes sometimes than the ones you find online, because of how they display the recipe. So it'll put the ingredients and then it goes right over to step-by-step instructions.
Well, I think part of it is not everybody knows how to write a proper recipe. And you can look at it and you go and you're following the instructions saying, well, that wasn't in the ingredients, or how they phrase it, or it's not proper. I mean, the online recipes, you have to know what you're reading beforehand and give it a good look-see. So now that I know you both cook, what was your ultimate culinary fail, Matt?
Oh, my ultimate culinary fail. I would say, I've burned some steaks before. It's important when you're grilling or even smoking. I have a smoker as well, to make sure you're not overdoing it and not overcooking it. So it was really dry. I've also started getting my oldest son, who's 15, into cooking too. But I would put this on me as a fail, because I think it's important to teach our next generation how to cook, and that's the whole purpose of him cooking, is when he gets older, not just making PB&J, mac and cheese, or eating out, right? He is comfortable in the kitchen. But me not prepping him a couple times, like one time when he was cooking lasagna, and he did not boil the noodles for lasagna. He just put it on and in the oven, and it was crunchy. So needless to say, we called for pizza that night. And then there was another time where he left the oven on and there was gas in the house. We had to call the fire department then too. So again, when you're training your children, make sure you're also with them at least for a few times before you take the training wheels off.
Yeah. What about you, Audrey?
Oh boy, I was thinking about it. I think part of cooking is honestly the failures. It's part of like the recipe for success, that we got to learn from our mistakes. But I did think about it, and my husband would say that my worst failure was probably 7 or 8 years ago. I got into crock pot cooking, and I saw, and I was using a regular recipe for chicken soup. And I was like, oh, I'll put in a little squeeze of lime. And then I was like, oh, what the heck? I'll throw in like a whole half of the lime. So I put the lime in the crock pot, set it and forget it. So my husband actually and his friends started eating it before I got home. And I was like, oh, all you have to do is throw in, like, I forget what he had to put on top. He said that he was eating little bursts of lime potatoes because I had potatoes in there. And he was like, it was probably the worst experience.
But he kept eating, right?
Oh no, I think, oh wait, maybe they did. I don't know. But he was like, I'm gonna do that again. And I was like, okay.
All right. We know that you're going to have Maryland produce and you're going to have Maryland seafood in your refrigerator or on your cabinets. Other than Maryland produce and Maryland seafood, what two musts should be in your refrigerator? Matt?
I'm going to say, well, for me, it's hot sauce. And because for my wife, happy life, ketchup, because she puts ketchup on everything.
Okay. Audrey?
I would say butter, because it really is, I hate to say it, a building block in a lot of food. And then it would probably be a cross between, I don't know. I always feel like you should have a few different kinds of cheese in there. I feel like it's like one of the things, like New York Times actually did a thing about pantry cooking, or like making sure that you have a well-stocked pantry will always set you up for success. So we always try to have, I've started buying hard block cheese and shredding it myself because it seems like it lasts longer. So just always having like some of your standard cheeses in there makes great on-the-go snacks. And butter.
Well, I just remind people that everything to connect with the Maryland Department of Agriculture, Maryland's Best .net. And last question, I'll let each one of you take it. We'll start with Audrey. What didn't I ask you that I probably should have?
Well, so we are, because we love to be out in public. So if you are Olney Farmers Market visitor, we will be at the Olney Farmers Market to kick off National Farmers Market Week. During their market hours, we will have a booth with some of our Maryland's best stuff, including our What's in Season flyers, which are great because it'll kind of educate you on what products are in season each month. And then we will also be partnering again with Restaurant Association. So I think they're going to have 10 chefs, I think, out there cooking with produce that they found at the farmer's market. So if you feel like you're intimidated by the items that you find there, this is a great opportunity to see how people are cooking it up.
Sounds great. And Matthew, what didn't I ask you that I probably should have?
I just have two things. One, if you're a chef or a restaurant or a retailer, you're not working with us, we'd love for you to work with us. Please reach out to Audrey or myself, or Chris and Hannah, another colleague of ours. We're the Maryland's Best team. You know, we have the Maryland's Best Expo in January, where we connect producers and buyers together. We have the Governor's Cookout, which we're already starting to work on for next July, believe it or not. So chefs, you know, think about those recipes. And if you want to get involved, again, please reach out and really just put in you guys on our websites and being part of our different programs, from True Blue to Shuck and Stout. And then my second thing I was going to lead into was in August 15th, we are launching Maryland's Best Seafood Eat Food Pass. So it is a digital pass that folks can download. It's not an app, because I think people are done downloading apps and clogging your phone. This is a web-based platform that you can download from our website at marylandsbest.net. And then there's a list of restaurants on there. You go to any of those restaurants, you check in. So it's geofenced. So you must be in that physical location of the restaurant. And then you click on Maryland seafood dish that restaurant's serving. And let's say Forge is serving Maryland blue catfish, or David's. You click, I bought my Maryland seafood, and you build up points to earn prizes from us at Maryland's Best. And prizes range from coasters to a environmentally friendly cutlery set, a lovely water bottle, and then a t-shirt as the grand prize that on the back it says, oh, shuck, yeah, I ate my Maryland seafood. So again, August 15th, that'll be running all the way through October 31st, which October is National Seafood Month. So perfect time. Head out, get your Maryland seafood, and we'd love to work with you. And it's been great on the show. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is great.
Thank you both for being on, and I think I did my due diligence very well.
Yes.
I was worried, but I did okay. So I want to thank you both for taking time out of your schedule to be here and talk about what I care about, is the Maryland seafood and what's going on in Maryland, and good quality food, local food. So thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just going to go over a couple notes for my guests coming up next week and end the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, here I am. Not that I'm running away. I just really enjoyed talking with Matt and Audrey. And let me tell you who's going to be on next week. Next week's guest will be Maricel Salazar. She is a food writer, restaurant critic, cook, and recipe developer for publications like the Michelin Guide, Zagat, Food and Wine, Wine Enthusiast, Thrillist. And she has a new and her first cookbook coming out called Latinish, Latin-ish, is her new cookbook. So if you have a chance, take a look for the cookbook. You can go and pre-order now and see what it's about, and join the conversation next Thursday. Always feel free to reach out to me via my email, which is food@jmoreliving.com, or at Dara Cooks is my Instagram. And I do have a Facebook page called the Food Enthusiast, so you can follow me there. All shows are immediately archived in video form on JMOR's Facebook page and jmoreliving.com. We truly appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. Feel free to go back into our archives and enjoy past shows. May your plates always remain full. I hope to see you next Thursday.